Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
2 seconds late, Martin.
Oh, you noticed that too?
2 seconds late. That's 2 seconds we'll never get back for this show.
Wow.
2 seconds. Jeez. I mean, we got so much. We got such a great show lined up here. And so much to get to. And then what happens? We start 2 seconds late.
And then we have to apologize to the audience, which takes another 30 seconds.
Apologize, yeah.
It's all on Martin. Tell you what, man. Just you and your math skill. I better stop there because I have no leg to stand on.
By the way, even though it's, you're going to have 2 seconds less of it today, thanks to Martin. Today's show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Don't let others track what you do. Keep yourself safe at expressvpn.com/unleashed. That's May 5th. Yesterday was May 4th, obviously, and we failed to mention. May the 4th be with you. Yes. Yes. No. Yes. May the 4th be with you. Get it? It's like you lisp when you're trying to say force. Yeah. And it's May the 4th be with
that.
you.
Yeah.
Get it?
And
See?
We missed
the
it.
Star Wars reference. So we missed that.
We missed that.
Dang it. Also, was it the 50th anniversary of Kent State?
That's what people were telling me on the internet. Did I take 5 seconds to Google that?
Are there still 4 dead in Ohio then?
I imagine
10
so.
soldiers and Nixon's coming? We're finally on our own?
Let's see.
This summer I hear the drumming. 4 dead in Ohio.
Wow, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to verify, but let's just say yes. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go with yes on that.
On May 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
1970. Oof.
We got some tweets after the show yesterday. This from Essential Joe. Joe Biden could stop this China virus. Remember when he was put in charge of curing cancer?
That's right.
No one died of cancer in the past couple months. That's right. It's all been COVID-19. He stopped it dead in its tracks.
He sure did. Wow.
Nice job, Joe.
Uh-huh.
Pastor Sam Burton tweets. It's I read this just a moment ago, and now for some reason I
about identifying as a virus? Or
yes. If I identify as immune, do I still have to wear the stupid mask? I don't know. Try that when the police officer, questions you. I'm identifying as immune to the disease. See if that works. And then from Chris, I identified as a virus, so I can go anywhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting. We got this from Attack
Yuki.
Mm-hmm. Attack Yuki. Turns out Kim Jong-un does not have information on the Clintons because he's still alive.
He's still living. That was the big suspicion that, what does he know about the Clintons? And then poof, he's back.
And from David Johnson, does anyone have an idea about how much the murder hornet stimulus checks will be? I like to plan ahead. Murder hornet stimulus checks.
Yeah, somebody said that sounds like a good death metal band name. From the 80s
Murder
or something.
Hornets?
The Murder Hornets.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Or a football team, the Murder Hornets.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A little brutal.
Is that a minor league team, or you think we're going football with that?
No, I like college football.
College football?
Professional football. The Murder Hornets. I like it.
The Joplin State Murder Hornets.
Joplin State.
It's the first thing I could come up with on the fly there, man. Sorry.
By the way, on Friday, they're expecting the highest unemployment on record. April's unemployment report is supposed to be, from 1 month to the next, the highest we've ever had. Economists surveyed by the Wall Street Journal forecast that the new report will show that unemployment rose to 16.1% in April. Man. It would be the highest rate since records began in 1948, eclipsing the 10.8% rate that we touched in late 1982 at the end of the double dip recession. The monthly number of jobs lost would be the biggest in records that go back to 1939, far steeper than the 1.96 million jobs eliminated in September 1945 at the end of World War II. Well, yeah. I mean, when you shut down every business across the country, yeah, you're going to lose more jobs
than
at any other time ever.
that unemployment rate may stay high because there are story after story, anecdotal as they may be, there are so many of them that we even know personally of people not going back to work because they're making more money with the unemployment checks right now. And it's just a fact. And it's exactly the kind of thing Lindsey Graham warned us about when they rushed through that bill. And here we are, people who are choosing to stay home. And I think that goes for a couple more months, something like that. We'll see if all of a sudden when that expires, does the unemployment rate then come down?
Well, also, you've got experts saying that this virus could last 2 years, and so we can't get back to normal for 2 years. Can you imagine what will be left? What would possibly be left after 2 years of this? Right. Already, we're finding we've got a report from the UN that says
I'll find it.
that the starvation rate is going to be. Let me see. I've got it here now. The pandemic could mean 260 million people worldwide are headed towards starvation.
Wow.
UN. Okay, this is from the UN. This isn't from the Trump administration.
Right.
The United Nations World Food Program warned this week that as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, the number of people facing food crises could double to 260 million worldwide. David Beasley, the organization's executive director, talked about it, and he's pretty concerned about it. I'm pretty concerned about 260 million people starving to death.
And that's fallout from this economic shutdown.
Right. So, it's going to, the virus would pale in comparison to 260 million people starving to death. Nothing like those numbers are happening with the virus. And it's not time to get back to work yet? I don't know what does it take for people to understand how important this is. And yet, Democrats, when surveyed, continue to say, yeah, we need to go at least another 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks more. Another 2 months with this? No. I'm going to say, no, that's not a good idea.
Just a heads up to Democrats as you try to walk that line to get yourself elected and into power in November. You probably want to have something left to govern.
Right.
So careful. You're playing with fire.
Yes, and we're the ones that are going to get burned. That's the sad part. It's the American people that are going to be burned by this. Survey discovered that 57% of Democrats don't want to reopen the U.S. economy for 6 weeks or longer. Specifically, 22% want to reopen in 6 to 8 weeks. 35% of Democrats don't want to reopen until after 8 weeks. Wow. Which would keep non-essential businesses closed well into the summer. 16% of Republicans are in favor of keeping the economy closed for at least 8 weeks. 13% of Republicans want to reopen in 6 to 8. The median Republican wants to reopen in 2 to 4 weeks. Even that's too long, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. You blue states can do what you want.
Yeah, but for we and ours, we're opening now.
Yeah, California, though. California later this week, Friday, they're going to start opening back up, Gavin Newsom says.
Wow. That's kind of surprising. But they see Texas reopening and other states reopening, and I'm sure they feel like they have to. Plus, I think they're on the downside of it.
Yeah.
And so they're taking a shot. We'll see.
Well, I'm of the personal belief, we've heard the numbers. Steve Deace did a great job in the afternoon here on The Blaze talking about how this virus has probably been here a lot longer than we know.
And a lot more people have had it than we know.
And the West Coast got it probably because they have the antibodies, It looks like that they've had it and moved on
right
without the mass hysteria because they didn't realize, oh, crap, this COVID-19 thing's going around. But now that we know, now it's mass panic and hysteria and masks everywhere you look. So, whatever. Again, I don't, anybody wants to wear a mask in public? By all means, do it. Whatever, to each his own. But these government mandates, getting out of hand.
Exactly. That's the problem. Being forced into doing these things is just slightly problematic. Because, the economy's falling apart. And that's going to cause a lot of problems for people, too. Starvation, poverty, things that will be around for another decade if we don't pull out of this thing. Now, Keith got some gas yesterday. This is amazing. It was $1.25 a gallon, right?
Went to the Kroger, right? And you get your Kroger club card that I know you just love, right?
And do I ever?
Give them Ginny's number, man. Mm-hmm. So I had $1 off. Okay.
Oh, you got $1 off every gallon?
Exactly.
Every gallon.
No wonder you didn't seem so impressed this morning when I was explaining this to you.
I get it, but
so I knocked it down to 25 cents a gallon at the pump.
Filled up for $4.96.
Yeah. Over 19 gallons of gas, paid less than $5 for a full tank of gas on my truck.
Welcome to 1972.
Right?
25 cents a gallon.
So there you go. $4.96 to fill that bad boy up to the top.
I think when I was first aware of gas prices in Montana, and, Montana lagged behind the rest of the country in gas prices going up, I think. But I remember like 28 or 30 cents a gallon. Those days aren't coming back.
No.
But they just happened for you
yesterday. Just did. I mean, I technically cheated with the $1 off thing from Kroger, but thank you very much.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So
what a deal. That's incredible.
It felt dirty, but at the same time, it felt good. Let's put it this way. There's been places in the country that paid $4.96 for 1 gallon.
Oh, yeah.
In the last 15, 20 years or so.
Yeah, so that 25 cents a gallon kind of made up for that.
Yeah.
A little bit. But at least one fill up.
I don't want to pay that small of a price for long.
Well, because it's just not good for Texas. It's not good for the economy in general, but especially not Texas.
And that's another one of these ripple effects, big ripples, of the lockdowns. When governments are mandating you shelter in place, then you're not burning fuel, supply and demand. Get back to work.
Also yesterday, Don Shula, legendary NFL coach of the Miami Dolphins, Baltimore Colts, died at age 90.
Man, loved him. Seriously.
Certainly his players loved him. Watched a little bit of the NFL Network coverage yesterday on him, and they got great things to say about him. And of course, he was the coach of the only unbeaten team ever. They're kind of obnoxious with it.
I know.
And I'm kind of sick of it.
I know.
But for one day, it was nice to be proud of them and say, yeah, that's a pretty cool accomplishment since nobody else has ever done it.
1972 Dolphins. What is
the 72-73 Dolphins. Yeah, they were 17-0.
17-0 if you count the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
14-0 when the regular season ended, and 17-0 after the Super Bowl.
Patriots came close.
They did, and I think they should have been 19-0, but they weren't.
They lost the game.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, well.
But then the stupid, obnoxious Dolphins got together and toasted it again. See, nobody can do it. Nobody can do it. And they were really worried that season.
David Tyree, come on down. Great catch. The Dolphins. A fun fact with Don Shula yesterday that I was not aware of. I knew he was a great coach. I knew that he had a lot of winning seasons. I didn't realize that out of 33 seasons as a head coach, dude only had 2 losing seasons.
Yeah.
Oh, Don Shula. Wow.
That's how he got to the most wins of all time, even over George Halas. So that's impressive. It doesn't say what he died of, but he was 90. So I guess just old age, right? Just wore out. But by pretty much all accounts that I've ever seen, a pretty good guy. Plus, he's got a great restaurant, Shula's. You ever have a steak at Shula's?
I have not.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right.
Not bad.
When are we going?
Well, I don't know if there is one here. Maybe there is one in Dallas.
Oh, wait.
But I'm sure it's close.
I better not speak too loudly since I still owe you.
Yes, we can go to Shula's anytime.
I think we're going to find the old Taco Bell. All right. Let's see here. I'll find out where the nearest one is.
Yeah, you might really regret that
go
"what are we
without
going"
you.
thing. Let's see. Yes, steak for me, Jeffy,
Oh,
and Stu.
God. I mean, my Trump check isn't that big. Wow. There is in...
Is there one in Dallas? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it looks like Fort Worth's got one.
Oh, nice.
Shoot, they're closed. Darn it. That's probably because it's, 6 a.m. Central.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Because Fort Worth's opened back up, man.
Yeah, I mean, our steak restaurants open up, but we got this beef shortage supposedly, and I'm wondering how that's going to affect the price of steaks and hamburger and roast. It's not going to be pleasant for a while.
Well, I told you I went to Costco over the weekend. And they only let you have 3 meat products, and
really?
only one of those can be ground beef. Yeah. So in other words, between poultry, pork, and beef.
Yeah.
You can only get 3 different things. You can get any combination of 3, and only one of them can be ground beef.
Really?
The third worldification of America is well underway.
How much does that suck? Wow.
Look at that image that Rob pulled.
Wow.
There you go. That's
look at that.
not too far from the truth there.
Wow.
I don't know where that is, but that's even a Costco. You can tell by the price there. My Costco was not nearly that bad, but the meat guys were just constantly. It was just like a merry-go-round, constantly restocking that day.
Well, as soon as the talk begins, then people start to panic and they start to hoard. So, 888-900-3393. Let me take a minute and tell you about Books. Maybe you can't give Mom a hug right now, but you can send flowers from the Books Company. Books, as in short for bouquets. You know, Mother's Day is this Sunday. Is that amazing? So it's going to be, what is that, the 10th, I think, of May? So it's kind of early this year. And you really don't want to forget to send Mom flowers. Books are responsibly sourced from some of the world's finest eco-friendly farms, even farms on the sides of volcanoes, so flowers stay fresher longer. Did you know that flowers and plants have also been proven to reduce stress and boost productivity? Which is a really cool thing right now. We could use stress relievers. Now that we're spending more time at home, how about a little self-love to brighten your day and your space, or that for Mom? Big savings mean you can send farm fresh flowers, plants, and gift bundles to all the moms in your life. Your actual mom, a soon-to-be mom, your wife, your grandma, whatever. Send smiles no matter how far the miles. At Books.com/Pat. That's BOUQS.com/Pat. Enter the offer code PAT for 25% off your entire order. Again, 25% off with the offer code PAT at Books.com/Pat.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
We got this notice to shoppers.
Oh, yeah, somebody sent this to us on Twitter.
Due to the recent outbreak of stupidity and panic purchasing by complete idiots, the nation is currently experiencing a shortage of toilet paper and common sense.
Oh, no.
Expect supplies to be replenished once these sheep-minded morons have all starved to death in their homes, surrounded by toilet paper, but without anything to eat.
Wow. What store was that, I wonder?
Jeez.
Barb Pat had sent that out. I think it was a local store I hadn't heard of, but
that's amazing.
That's a good sign. Instead of, hey, we don't have any toilet paper.
Right.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot more toilet paper now, though. So
are you?
Yeah, it's definitely. Are you still lacking?
I saw some, and so I bought one because that's all you could buy last week. But I brought it home, and I thought, oh, okay, we already had.
You got to get to Kroger, man.
They had some. That's where I was. Okay. I was at Kroger.
I mean, they just have they have a ton of it. So
okay.
I just
don't
they're
want pretty well stocked with it now.
Yeah.
Good.
Walmart's got a thing where they've got the really small generic sandpaper.
No, I hate that
on
stuff.
your butt roll. And they've got like a 4-pack for 60 cents. So really cheap. Limit 1 per customer. But they're like, all right, look, we got you. We'll get you through. Here.
60 cents?
60 cents for a 4-pack of, like I said.
That's high quality stuff.
Oh,
huh?
yeah, right. Yeah. That's the stuff where you buy the 4-pack, you put it in the attic, and you wait. Like, let's just say, hypothetically, a global pandemic were to happen. This is total hypothetical. And then there's a run on stuff like toilet paper. And you have none. You go,
oh, I got that emergency stuff
and a 4-pack up in the attic.
Right.
I mean, if that time were to ever come.
Well, this particular doomsday prepper had 4,000 rolls of toilet paper.
So he was ready.
Supplied for a year. And the former architect built a home on a 3-acre compound in Medford.
Oh, is that Oregon? Okay.
Yeah, Medford, Oregon.
Okay.
With an electrified fence that could accommodate 120 of his closest friends and family. Stocked it with more than a year's worth of supplies.
Stay away from my TP.
And then he lost the home to foreclosure 2 years ago and now lives above a garage in a friend's home.
Oh, he's
But,
got a feel.
you got the 4,000 rolls of toilet paper to keep you company. So that's great.
Do you ship that with you when you're going to your friend's house?
That's not good.
I guess you've got, packing material now.
He thinks the current coronavirus pandemic is worse than the doomsday he was preparing for. This is much more severe than I even planned for. Badame, 77 years old, said on a recent weekday afternoon, when you combine the trigger of the coronavirus and then the reaction to it, we're right at the beginning of the collapse of the economic system. The world is in such bad shape financially. Every single country is in debt that cannot be repaid. That's the beginning point.
I mean,
he's right about that. Sadly, he's right about that.
But I want to know if he still has all of the 4,000 rolls of toilet paper.
Well, let's see.
In a van down by the river or wherever he's living now.
Bankers seized his property in 2017. It was eventually sold in a sheriff's sale for $150,000 after he failed to attract a buyer on the open market, but it doesn't say if he still owns his toilet paper.
Like his furniture, like he's got a couch made out of toilet paper rolls, a bed. It's just, it lives among him. But man,
but he planned ahead.
He did plan ahead, and he just was 2 years short of his goal there.
That sucks.
Yeah, that does. I wonder what kind of, you think it's high quality toilet paper? Or you think it's at Walmart 60-cent?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I imagine. Since he couldn't afford his home, so probably couldn't afford the really nice toilet paper.
Or maybe that's the problem. He bought the really nice toilet paper and couldn't make his mortgage payments.
It's possible.
Got to plan ahead a little better than that.
Also, Americans are surprisingly open to letting their phones be used for coronavirus tracking. We've been telling you about this for a couple of weeks now. Apple and Google, getting together and tracking people for the government. They released an initial version of the API that represents the first phase of their joint effort to enable public health authorities to quickly identify people who may have been exposed to new cases of COVID-19. By mid-May, it should be available to most health agencies, and so it's time to revisit the question. Will Americans actually use these apps? Nearly 3 in 5 Americans say they're either unable or unwilling to use the infection alert system under development by Google and Apple.
Okay.
Suggesting it will be difficult to persuade enough people to use the app to make it effective against the virus.
Oh, that's more promising than I anticipated.
Yeah. Among the 82% of Americans who do have smartphones, willingness to use an infection tracing app is split evenly.
Oh.
That's
yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem. 50% saying they definitely or probably would use such an app.
Oh no.
And an equal percentage saying they probably or definitely would not.
And let's walk through this. I mean, if you start at half, already accepting it right out of the gate, that's just going to erode more and more because they're going to get used to, okay, fine, whatever. It's kind of like terms and conditions. Once you accept one of those, then you're just like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll just check.
You don't want to be bothered.
This becomes a way of life here with this app. If we're starting at 50%, it's going to be about 75% by the end of the year.
And here's a surprise. Willingness runs highest among Democrats, and isn't that always the case? Democrats, what idiots. And people reporting they're worried about a COVID-19 infection making them seriously ill. Resistance is higher among Republicans and people reporting a lower level of personal worry about getting the virus. Wow. I mean, Democrats don't want to open the economy. They're fine with being tracked. These people just don't care about an overbearing government.
Think long term.
Yeah, how do you get them to understand? You're always afraid that Donald Trump is taking your rights and becoming a fascist. So why would you be okay then with Google and Apple being in bed with the government to track you? How does that make any sense?
Well, Pat, if you're not doing anything wrong,
Yeah,
then
that's-
what's the problem, man?
That's right. What do I care if they're tracking me? I ain't doing nothing wrong. Of course, I just used a double negative, so if I ain't doing nothing wrong, I must be doing something wrong.
Busted.
I just narked on myself.
Wow.
Somebody call the authorities on me.
Well, why do that? Your phone just did for you.
Yeah. Yeah, and my iPhone is in my bag right there, so they heard me say it, as they're monitoring us right now, this very second, and recording everything we say, so.
Just imagine if you actually used your iPhone, how much it would know about you.
Right? See? So there are some advantages.
Oh, yeah.
There are some.
Not so many as there could be.
Michigan pilot gave a literal FU to Governor Gretchen Whitmer
This guy.
over the lockdown.
Oh, look, that was his route that he flew over near Lansing, right? Okay. That's awesome.
Frustrated pilot actually went and sprayed in the air FU.
Well, I don't know that he did that, did he? Didn't he? Did he spray it?
Spelled out the message.
He actually sprayed it? It wasn't just
It's
what showed up on the...
It's actually an arrow pointing directly over the governor's mansion. Yeah, he did it in the air.
It wasn't just on the little, FAA screen, huh? That is
No.
awesome. I thought that was just the route he took.
That is really cool.
That is so awesome. Yeah, they're not too happy with the governor up there in Michigan.
That's really fun. Wow.
Yeah, these states, man, they are asking for that. But in Michigan, though, you can the state will send you condoms to your house while you're on lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll take care of you there.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
they'll make sure that
for free, right?
for free. Oh, yeah, of course.
I don't want to have to pay for my sex.
Michigan's rolling in cash.
Okay, good.
So why not just
Good.
send them? That's the thing with these government mandated lockdowns, where they're saying or using masks. I'm sorry, when you're forced to use a mask in public, are they sending you free masks? Because I don't know if you've tried to get masks in a while on Amazon.
Difficult.
It's like a 6 to 8 week window they give you. Yeah, you'll get masks maybe.
Plus, you can use them once. You got to buy a lot of masks.
So, the state of
A
Michigan,
lot.
they're sending condoms to people's houses, available upon request.
They should. If you have to wear the mask, they
Right.
should provide them.
Massachusetts, you want to fine people?
As far as I know, they're not providing them.
Yeah, they need to show up in the mailbox. It should be like a stimulus check. You shouldn't have to do anything. They should just show up there. If you're going to mandate this, then you need to send about 50 to each house. Go. Spend your money on that, Michigan,
Yeah.
or Massachusetts, all these places.
But we don't insist on things like that. And we just go ahead and cede virtually everything possible, every one of our rights to the government. If we feel like we're not safe at all, we just rely on the government to make us safe. And it's to the point where 60% of Americans would even agree to delay the election if the virus worsens, according to a Zogby poll. A majority of voters, including Democrats, are we seeing a theme here with Democrats? They back delaying the 2020. Even Democrats, you delayed the election when you hate Donald Trump this much?
You know how their big thing
That don't
right
make
now?
any sense.
Yeah, you know how their big thing is mail by ballot or vote by mail or whatever?
Yeah.
I can't even speak.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a question. Would you rather vote by mail or delay the election? I'm delaying the election. If it means, push back the risk, gun to
Yeah.
your head, you have to choose between one or the other.
Yeah, I don't want either one of those options.
But one's a constitutional
But-
violation.
Right.
And one's
You can't delay the
fraud.
election. This is
Yeah.
the United States of America. This isn't Israel.
Well, no, there they just vote 4 times
It's
until
true.
they get it right.
888-900-3393. More Pat Gray Unleashed coming up. Got some tweets here at Pat Unleashed. Mary McLaughlin tweets, Americans will not use the APP. Only snowflakes will use the app.
The app, yeah.
Yeah, the APP. Why did she capitalize APP?
I don't know. You know me.
Yeah,
You
that
down with APP?
confused me there.
Yeah, snowflakes.
Americans
I don't know about
will
that.
not use the app. Only snowflakes will
I
use
don't
the
know
app.
about that. It ain't just snowflakes running around wearing masks when they're driving alone in their vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Still don't understand that. Somebody had a great meme that said the same people that are driving around with wearing masks in their car alone, are they wearing a condom alone in bed? I mean, that's a great point. What are you doing? I don't understand who you're trying to protect when you're driving around with a mask. I see it everywhere. So weird.
It's a really good question, though. I like that.
Yeah.
From Scotty Sweatman, those people who don't seem to mind being tracked by their phones for the virus, ask those same people if they would mind the police tracking their phones to find speeders and sending them a speeding ticket through the mail. Mm-hmm. We finally got rid of that in Texas with the red light cameras.
I love going through these intersections
Love
where
it
these
now.
cameras are still on
There's
the...
a camera at every intersection, and they're so meaningless now.
Yeah, I just
You
wave
feel
at
good
them
about
like,
it.
hey, sucker. How's it going?
Love it. Once again, thank you, Greg Abbott. Governor Greg Abbott.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. Angel DW, I knew there was a good reason I didn't want a smartphone. From Gen Y Conservative, we used to be worried about being chipped as a mandate. And here we are today with 50% just willing to have their phones tracked. Unbelievable. Texas Lori D, can someone please tell me what the hell a non-essential job looks like? Oh, wait, it's called Congress.
Nice.
From the Pickled Squirrel, if con is the opposite of pro, then Congress is the opposite of progress.
Oh, hell. Mm-hmm. That's good. I like it.
B to Bonine, heck, even back in the 60s, Gomer Pyle was pumping gas at Wally's filling station for 35 cents a ding.
Ha! Wait.
35 cents. Wow, that was a lot back then.
And that was without a discount card.
Yeah, that's true.
You need that. Get to 25 cents like I got yesterday.
But even $1.25 is pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen $1.12.
That's amazing.
That's the cheapest.
It's
I've
gone
seen.
up since then.
Yeah, it's gone up about a dime everywhere. Yeah,
Which
it's good
why?
news, right?
I guess, but why?
Because
has it gone
remember
up?
we talked about how the contract ended, and so when they were having
Yes.
to basically pay to have the oil taken,
Yeah.
that contract is now better for them.
The Steve 42, what are you buying at Kroger to get $1 off per gallon?
Yeah, that's a good question because it's always like capped at 50 cents. They must be doing double. I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
They must be doing double right now, and I just got lucky.
It's almost like a Kohl's deal where they pay you to take their clothing out of the store.
Oh, I've been there, brother. And in fact, it's been too long since I've visited the clearance rack.
You
Let's go.
saved $45,000.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I bought, wow, really? I always wonder, do they just inflate their prices and then...
Whoa, Kohl's?
Yeah. And so it looks like these certificates give you so much money off that it just creates that impression in your mind? Or is it an actual thing that they're really doing? I don't know. Because how are they making any money?
I don't care. I just know that I love it.
Yeah.
And in fact,
So does my wife.
Clark Howard, the big money guy, he hates the whole idea of having a credit card, like a store credit card. But he says,
Except at
the
Kohl's.
one exception is Kohl's.
Yeah.
Thank
funny.
you very much.
Well, because between the Kohl's cash and the credit card discount,
Yeah.
you just...
That's a job. I mean, you make money shopping at Kohl's.
Definitely. Pastor Sam Burton, so did no one else see Supreme Leader Fauci on 60 Minutes over the weekend saying that nobody has to go around wearing a mask?
What? No,
These
wait.
guys just can't make up their minds.
About anything.
About anything. Yeah. We hear contradictory stuff all the time.
And that's the whole...
And from Fauci.
Yeah, that's the whole thing on this vaccine. That people are like, oh, the great vaccine's going to come and save us all. Humanity's going to be saved. As soon as we get that vaccine, then we can get back to normal. Wait, you're trusting this vaccine being administered, injected into your body from a government that can't even get this right over the course of a few weeks? Come on, stop it. I trust them not.
From Scotty Sweatman, I'm sure there's plenty of food in Nancy Pelosi's fridge to feed those 260 million people. Someone should get the UN to contact her on this issue.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Good
man.
stuff.
Yeah, when we got to look at her fridge, we realized, yeah, she could help. She could help some people.
Yeah, she didn't think that move through.
So as people continue to be oppressed around the nation, they continue to speak out against it, and they're doing that a lot in Michigan. And the big deal in Michigan has been that, there were swastikas being displayed at those protests over the weekends. Swastikas are racist, as white supremacists. No. Fortunately, Leon Wolf at the Blaze looked into the swastikas being displayed at the protest. Were they saying, hey, this is white supremacy, or whites are better than any other race, and that's why we're flying a swastika here? No. They were comparing Governor Gretchen Whitmer to Hitler. That's what they were doing. There was a grand total of 2 swastikas that they found at the protest. 2 out of all the thousands and thousands of people that were there. And both of them were presenting the swastikas in a negative light, comparing Gretchen Whitmer. Now, is it, over-the-top rhetoric, as Leon Wolf asks? Maybe. Maybe not, too. Maybe not, based on what's being done in Michigan right now.
But you gotta know how you're going to be painted by the media if you show up with a swastika in whatever context.
It's true. It's unfortunate that people did use it, because it just doesn't help. You're not being a helper at that point.
No.
But they're not saying anything about white power or that they're Nazis. They're saying that the government who's oppressing them right now, those are the Nazis. So it's such a lie when the media takes these things and starts running with it. Then there was a noose, I guess, that was hanging from a tree. And that was made a big deal out of, because what are you doing there? Are you saying you're going to lynch black people? Is that what that is? No. They were saying that, let's see, what was...
Yeah, bottom line is, if you have to explain your symbolism,
well,
you're
you
doing
shouldn't be
it
doing
wrong.
it. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But what they were saying was that the power, the tyrants need to be hung.
Oh, boy.
Is what they were saying. Not black people, not minorities. The tyrants should be hung, which again is out of control rhetoric.
Yeah, not the best messaging.
No. Tyrants get the rope was the expression that they used. But the media takes that stuff and lies about it. And so it's not helpful to use those kinds of symbols in these sorts of protests, because you're just going to be beaten over the head with it. And it's not going to help the cause. 888-900-3393. Meanwhile, at a Dollar Tree store in Oakland,
Michigan, yeah.
Oakland County, Michigan, right? This guy walks into the store, and the clerk says to him, "You can't shop here without a mask."
It's a request that a private business is more than right to ask at any time.
Yes. And so he walks over to the clerk and says, "Here, I'll use this as a mask," and then wipes his nose and face all over her shirt and arm. What kind of jerk would do something like that in the middle of a pandemic? They've just asked you to wear a mask or you can't shop, so just turn around and leave if you don't have a mask. No. He wipes his nose on her. That's when you hit him with a baseball bat. She didn't, but he would have deserved it. It's pathetic.
Is that the same place where there was a fatal shooting of a security guard in Michigan? Yeah, that's terrible, because they didn't want to wear a mask.
Oof.
I don't know if you heard that one, but yeah, that's also going around here. I mean, people are losing their minds in every which direction during this pandemic, and we can't do this.
Right.
If you are
Gotta get
only,
a grip.
Yeah, if you are going to murder a security guard because you don't want to wear a mask, you're only inviting more of the tyranny that you're protesting against.
Exactly. 888-900-3393. Let me tell you about iTarget Pro. If you are hoping to go to the range anytime soon to practice, good luck. Between social distancing and leftist politicians closing gun stores, treating the Second Amendment as non-essential, millions of Americans have been without a place to safely practice their firearm. But thankfully, there's iTarget Pro, where you don't have to worry about any of that. Using their proprietary app and a laser bullet, iTarget Pro allows you to safely practice with your firearm right in your own home. Because instead of an actual bullet, there's a laser bullet there that just shows you where your shots land on the target. So you're dry firing. And dry fire training will develop muscle memory. It will help you with target reaction speed, sight alignment, trigger function, and a lot more. iTarget Pro comes in all the major calibers, including .223 and .556, so you can stay sharp with almost any firearm. Plus, right now, get 10% off plus free shipping when you use the offer code PAT when you buy iTarget Pro today. Don't let circumstances dictate whether or not you're going to be able to train with your firearm. Take back control with iTarget Pro. That's the letter I, then targetpro.com. itargetpro.com, offer code PAT.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
Mentioned this yesterday on Glenn's show, but Disney World and the Disney Corporation, which pretty much was ruling the world before the pandemic, is now kind of in trouble because after a decade of spectacular growth, the gigantic entertainment conglomerate has been devastated by this pandemic because all of its 14 theme parks are closed. Even though they delivered record profits just last year, 157 million people stop by their parks. Right now, there are 0 people at their parks. So that's kind of hurting them. They've got no income coming in at all from any theme park anywhere in the world. Also, their cruises. They have 4 cruise ships with a capacity of 13,400 people. There are 0 people on their cruise ships right now. All the cruising has been shut down and probably will be for the foreseeable future.
Wow. And everybody prepaid for Disney Plus.
Right.
I mean, seriously, I'm just thinking of all their business models.
Stage shows. Okay, they have stage shows all over the world. 29 productions on 4 continents. All of them shut down. Wow. Disney stores, they've got 312. All of them closed down.
No income whatsoever.
I mean, it's their movie studios, all 8 of them completely shut down. So no movies being produced right now at Disney. And that's the case with other studios as well. But, you know, this is, I mean, Disney, every single business they're in has really been devastated by this. The cable network. Okay, you got ESPN, which is a money-making machine for Disney. No sports to broadcast.
My goodness.
You think about what they're going through, they're in serious trouble right now.
That is no good.
Yeah. Which, again, is why Bob Iger stayed on. He was supposed to leave, I think, about 3 or 4 months ago. And instead, he retook control of the company for now because he's been running the place for 15 years. And he didn't want to turn it over to somebody brand new in this crisis. So he's trying to see him through this. But they're having a tough time right now. About the only thing that is getting them through this is maybe the streaming, because people are sitting home and they are watching streaming things, and they do have a decent streaming business. But they even expect that. Yeah, look at this. Disney. The estimate is that Disney will lose $2 billion this year, even on their streaming business.
Oh,
wow.
I'm just looking at all the stuff they own.
Jeez.
And I will say it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But everywhere you turn, you're like, okay, but no, that's not
okay. Well,
nope.
They're not making any money from that now.
I mean, I said it in jest, but I think it's actual fact now. That David Murr guy, his ABC Nightly News,
he's the hero at Disney.
The only thing they're making money on right now is evening news.
Right.
Think about that.
Right. ABC, which, all of their shows are shut down too, except for the World News Tonight with David Muir. And that's number 1 week after week lately. So, I mean, that's the only thing that's really doing well for them right now. Other than that, ABC had 14 shows and pilots that have all shut down. And so nothing new is coming out for that. That's the other thing. I don't know when there's going to be new programming on TV or at the movie theater because everything's been shut down, not just with Disney, but everybody. It's going to be a while before we see any good movies. The only ones that we'll see are the ones that were supposed to come out this spring, and then they've been delayed.
Yeah. Did you know Disney owns Hulu?
Yes.
Didn't know that.
Yes. They own everything. I mean, Disney
for now
owns.
So they need to
start
selling off some of these assets to pay the
kidding.
mortgage. Oh my
Jeez.
goodness, what a nightmare!
Well, and they furloughed 100,000 employees. So they're not doing well, and neither are their employees. And I feel a lot worse for the employees than I do for Disney itself.
Yeah.
Because 100,000 people are without jobs. Now, when the theme parks open up again, will they get their job back? I don't know, but I hope so. Certainly hope so.
Golly, what a...
But just another thing that, you don't necessarily think about.
Exactly.
That's happening during the pandemic.
Exactly. I mean, we talked about gas prices, right?
Yeah.
Wow, it's great that you're paying a quarter after your big discount, Keith, but
what's
gets
that doing?
reflected in jobs in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, these ripples are becoming tidal waves.
You're going to feel it in Houston, Texas. You're going to feel it in the oil fields in North Dakota. You're going to feel it in West Texas. We're going to feel the effects of this for a really long time, which is why we keep saying, open up the economy. 888-900-3393. More Pat Gray Unleashed coming up. And welcome to it. Great to have you with us. Let me just tell you about Brickhouse Nutrition so that you can fortify your immune system. None of us plan to self-isolate forever. So eventually we're going to be around people again. And that's when you're going to want your immune system to be working and functioning properly. And one of the ways to do that is to have good nutrition inside your body. 1 scoop of Field of Greens. If you don't eat well, like I don't, 1 scoop of Field of Greens has a full serving for you of real USDA certified organic fruits and vegetables. Boost your immune system and boost your energy. So if you're out of shape, you don't eat healthy, hello, yes, that's me. Your risk is higher. It's just as simple as that. So you need this diet of fruits and vegetables in your body because it can reduce your risk of heart disease, hypertension, stroke, even cancer, and it's also pre and probiotic. It's a great source of vitamins and fiber and other nutrients. Just put 1 scoop into a glass of water, stir it up, you're all done. Right now, save 15% off your first order when you use the offer code PAT at brickhousepat.com. If you subscribe while you're there on the website, you'll save an extra 10% every single month. Turn your immune system into a brick house with Field of Greens at brickhousepat.com.
Pat Gray.
I got this tweet from Carl Smith. If we all start wearing Trump 2020 masks, how long will it be before the experts tell us we don't need them anymore?
Oh, that's a thought.
Ryan Patrick, those app tracking stories are concerning. I listened to New York Sports Talk, and they have hosts who want bracelets you can't remove to show who has the virus, which is insanity. But people call in and love that suggestion. No thanks. Yeah, the Sports Talk radio, it's all, that anytime they veer off into anything political or anything serious, you'll want to turn the channel. You just turn it off because they're all liberals. They're all stupid.
And remember, we got that tweet earlier. It said only snowflakes will download the app. The Sports Talk radio audience will also download the tracking app as well.
Sure. Economic intercourse virus tweets, my dead grandfather just received a stimulus check. Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if he could vote by mail. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Probably.
Wow.
I wonder how many dead people wound up with checks. I bet we'd be stunned at the number.
There will be a couple years from now, there's going to be an audit. Some group is going to do it, some watchdog, group. There'll be a story. It'll appear in the back of a newspaper. No one will ever see it.
Right.
And it will be nauseating.
Yes.
To think of the tax dollars that went to dead people. The stimulus
25% of it went to dead people or people who are illegal immigrants or whatever. We'll find that out. That'll be the number. 25%.
We should have an office pool. What will be the percentage of fraudulent stimulus checks?
That's
when this
my
is all
guess.
said and done?
25%.
I'll take that. I like it. Yeah.
Let's go to Andy in Texas. Hey, Andy, you're on the Blaze.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm a multi-season season ticket holders for a local MLB team, and finally got we've been trying to contact with them what we're going to do with our season tickets, get a refund, what's going to happen. We finally got a email back this weekend. They're offering March, April, and May as a refund, or we can put it towards next year's season. But they plan on taking up baseball in June with a regular schedule after that. But they haven't showed us what the regular schedule, or if it's going to be with redesigned leagues. But if what I'm hearing down to the north, the Mets and all those are going to stay closed, I don't see how they can continue the season with people in the stands. So
no, I don't either.
For a full refund. And
is your question, Andy, do you want us to take your tickets off your hands so you don't have to stress about this?
they're Astros tickets.
Oh,
okay.
No, you don't want those. There's a bunch of cheaters, right? Now, if it's the new ballpark here in Dallas, then I would say keep them. But no, you want your money back.
So you're going to ask for the full refund, are you?
Yeah, we are. We're trying they won't respond to that question. And
wow.
And I think I can go. There's a good chance. I think we already had the C-19 in our family back in February.
Really?
Today my wife is going and found an antibody test down in Conroe. She's going to go get that taken. Nice. My niece got deathly ill, had all the symptoms if you check down the list, and she went and got swabbed for flu and strep and all negative, and they sent her home with a Z-Pack and Tamiflu and said, to get plenty of rest and drink plenty of fluids. Me being a paramedic, she actually had me sit with her one day, and she was so sick she didn't know if she could get to the phone.
Jeez.
And about 4 days later, I got kind of sick. I bracketed by 2 days of not feeling great, and then it just went through the whole family in a matter of 3 or 4 days.
Be interesting. Let us know if let us know how the antibody test comes out. I'd like to know if you guys had it or not. That's interesting because if it happened in February, I mean that's way before we thought it was in Texas.
And think about this. Think of how many people. Think of yourself who earlier this year were really sick, and you were like, "Man, I just can't shake this. Oh my gosh!" And I'm just thinking around the office and the number of infected Americans right now stands at 1.1 million. And I'm not a doctor, okay? And I'm not Lord Fauci. But I would not be surprised if we had it in one form or fashion, half of Americans.
Yeah.
150 million of us. That's what it feels like.
Appreciate the call. Thanks, Andy. The Stanford, if you are to believe the Stanford test, the Stanford study that they did, it's 50 to 85 times higher than is being reported. So if you extrapolate that on a nationwide basis, you're talking about 80 million people. 80 million people who have had it.
I mean, it affects everyone differently. We know that.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we've gone
some
through
people are not sick at all. Others are gravely ill.
And we joke about how every symptom under the sun has some sort of connection to COVID-19.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a joke. I mean, it literally affects everybody differently.
That's right.
Anywhere along the spectrum. So I would not be surprised if this thing has been here longer.
I was just listening to somebody, I don't know, in one of the news reports, they were talking to somebody who had COVID-19. He didn't have the fever at all the whole time. Never had the fever. Now, that's the one thing they talk about all the time that's universal is, well, if you don't have a fever, we're not even going to test you.
But he tested positive.
He tested positive.
Right? Oh, wow.
And he didn't have the fever.
And think about this. You and I, we've been working with Jeffy for over a decade. We have obviously built up an immunity to everything under the sun.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter what gets thrown at you and I or other people around here.
Yeah.
We've been through it.
Yes.
So our bodies are pretty much ready for anything.
You talk about herd immunity.
Herd immunity, right.
Jeffy's a whole herd by himself, so he's got a herd load of diseases that you've become immune to, so it's great. It's great to have him around.
There you go.
All right. Some other things going on besides the COVID-19 situation. I don't know if you're aware of that, but U.S. women's soccer still fighting the battle to get equal pay. Good for them, because they only made $8 million more than the men did over the last several years, and they're pissed about it. So if they want equal pay, I guess they want a cut in pay. I mean, you remember that? The U.S. Tennis Association, Soccer Association, came out and said, yeah, we've paid the women more than we paid the men. Here it is. And they showed us the numbers. And sure enough, the women made more than men over the last several years. Anyway, they're still fighting this thing in court. And they just suffered a defeat when a judge ruled that they were not being unfairly paid in comparison to their male counterparts. The ruling was handed down by Judge R. Gary Klausner. And critics, of course, have claimed that female soccer players aren't paid as well as their male counterparts, but the judge disagreed. He said the WNT, women's national team, has been paid more on both a cumulative and an average per game basis than the MNT, the men's national team, over the class period. That's amazing. He allowed for a separate claim to proceed by female players, arguing that they're receiving disparate compensation in the form of travel, training, housing, and other proceeds. Well, you're making more money, and then you want... This is amazing. United States Soccer Federation showed that the female players were paid $8 million more in salaries and bonuses, despite the games of the male players. Get this. Despite the fact that the male players grossed much more game revenue. Of course they did. That happens in every single sport. Molly Levinson, who represents the female players, said they plan to appeal even the decision of the judge, even though they did make more money. We're shocked and disappointed, she said. We're not giving up our hard work for equal pay. Well, the judge should then rule that they get their pay cut by $8 million so that they're equal to the men. Wouldn't that surprise them? Surprise! We're going to make sure that you're equally paid. You got to give us $8 million back.
This is what equality looks like. Wow.
We are confident in our case and steadfast in our commitment to ensuring that girls and women who play this sport will not be valued as lesser just because of their gender. Even if they were paid less, it wouldn't be because of their gender. It would be because of the revenue received. You don't pay the same when you're bringing in less money. Right? I mean, does that not make sense? It'd be like the WNBA players making the same as NBA players. When the WNBA outperforms them, by $8 billion or something.
But, it won't be long if we get back to playing the games in empty arenas with the NBA, that the setting will at least be very similar to the typical WNBA game with the empty arenas, although this one will be by choice.
Yeah. Yeah, then it'll look like a WNBA game.
So,
that's a good point.
So we got equality right around the corner. If we could just get sports started, you'll see equality.
Is there any sport that people are interested in less than the WNBA? I don't know that there is. I think, even women's college basketball is paid attention to more than the WNBA.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not joking when I say I would love to see the numbers. Somebody look this up for me. Don't make me do my job here. The rock skipping competition you watched over the weekend on ESPN, I bet had a larger audience than the WNBA gets on an average game.
It might have.
I want to see somebody find those Nielsen ratings for me, please, and tag me at Keith Malinak.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Rock skipping beats basketball, women's WNBA basketball.
Do you know anybody who would watch a WNBA game on ESPN? I don't know anybody who would watch that.
If it got me out of a North Korean prison, I'm not sure that I would agree to watch an entire WNBA game.
Yeah. All right, 888-900-3393, and at Pat Unleashed on Twitter. Let me tell you about Genesis 950. If you've been thinking about replacing your carpeting because there's so many stains on it you just can't get out and you've tried virtually everything, if you haven't tried Genesis 950, try this before you order the carpeting. With water, Genesis 950 breaks down the bonds of stains, so they're gone for good. Its antibacterial component removes pet stains and odors from carpet and padding. It can be used in carpet cleaning machines, too, and it's so green that it's safe for your family and pets to lay on the carpeting afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely amazing because
Is it gonna have the chemical smell though left behind?
Not at all.
What?
Nope. Wow. It really doesn't.
Nice.
1 gallon of industrial strength Genesis 950 can make up to 7 gallons of cleaner. A larger ratio may be required for old stains or odors. But it also disinfects, it kills viruses. You mix 1/3 Genesis 950 with 2/3 water, spray on the surface, and then wipe it clean with fresh water. It's just that easy, and you'll be amazed. You'll say, I didn't believe there was a product like this. It's not just for pet stains either. You can clean and disinfect your entire house, your bathroom, your kitchen, countertops, granite, quartz, garage floors, get the oil stains out. Genesis 950, it is available on Amazon.com, but if you order a gallon direct at Genesis950.com, you'll get a free spray bottle and a discount using the offer code BLAZE. That's Genesis950.com.
Pat Gray.
Uh-huh. That was it? Just Pat Gray? What about him?
Did you need more?
Yeah, it's something. I mean, what does that really say?
Okay, hold on. Let me try it again. Patrick Joseph Gray.
Yeah, it's still... You just added my middle name. What did that do?
Patrick Joseph Gray from the mean streets of Helena. Continue.
Son of Joseph. All right.
Under bumper music, I guess we better just start now.
I guess so. 888-900-3393 and at Pat Unleashed on Twitter. From Team USA Stone Skipping Skip.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure that rock skipping competition brought in Super Bowl type ratings. So ESPN just needs more gripping competitions like that to pull Disney's butt out of the fire.
Yeah, I got to start
I'm
watching
sure that's true, yeah. Jeffy's 18 Spoons. Pat's absolutely right about the sports radio personalities being lefties. Yeah, I don't know why that is, but it just is. I was a diehard listener of a particular station for years. I tuned out for good one day after the host railed against guns after Parkland. Yeah, it's agonizing. It's agonizing. South Dakota's Cardinal Tobin. Now, don't confuse this with
Newark?
Cardinal Joe Tobin of Newark.
Got it.
Remember when iTunes put a U2 album in our playlist and there was no way to delete it? The tracking app will become undeletable. Probably.
Gee,
and you remember how pissed off people were about the iTunes album? How dare you give me a free album? I don't want that. They were pissed.
Yep. And
people were pissed.
Really good album, too.
It's like, okay, well, just don't listen to it. What is the problem? How dare you put that into my iTunes when I don't want it there? What is it doing to your iTunes? I'm not sure, but... I don't know why. I don't know why people were so angry about that.
Yeah. I never understood that either, and U2 was apologetic for that. But I tried to put myself, because I love, U2 music is going to be on my phone regardless. Mm-hmm. But if it was some band that I couldn't stand, and I didn't have a way to get rid of it, that would be annoying, you know. But I would keep it out of playlists.
If iTunes,
it would just be separate.
Let's say they downloaded a Fifth Dimension album into my iTunes, I'd just ignore it. I'd try to delete it probably, but then if I couldn't, I'd be like, okay, well, I just won't listen to it.
I have a question here in the front row.
Yes.
Mr. Gray, do you use your phone for music listening whatsoever?
No, never. No.
Right. There we go.
I do use my iPad, but not my phone.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are Mr. iPad.
Yes.
I mean that sincerely.
Use the iPad.
Like, you use that.
All the
You've
time.
got that out all the time, putting audio in and stuff.
Yes.
So if there was a way that I could contact you
I
on your
listened to Spotify on it, I
yeah.
gave up the CD thing and finally broke down and started using Spotify. And I thought, hey, I can see why people use this. It's pretty handy.
So is there a way I could contact you on the iPad since I can't get you to respond to email, text, or phone call?
Yes, if we belong to the same cell phone company, you could. It comes on my iPad when that happens. So maybe you should do that. Anyway, this is interesting because the one place Chinese travelers want to visit this year is, of course,
America.
No.
Spies.
Now you might think, okay, well, what about the new Disney in Shanghai?
Yeah, sure.
Or the even newer one that's supposed to be finished pretty soon in Beijing Disney World? No, they want to go to Wuhan. Why?
Learn a lesson already.
I know. Why would you want it? What is there? Well, that's where people had that virus. I want to look at it. Why?
Chinese are now talking.
Yeah, I don't know why.
People I grew up with.
I don't know why the accent happens to be that of an American hick.
So they want to go to where the world coming to an end began.
Yes, they do.
That's dumb.
It's dumb and it's just bizarre because there's nothing special there, to my knowledge, except the fact that that's where a really bad pandemic broke out.
That's where you can get some pangolin and some fried bat.
Wonder if we could get us some of that bat food that went bad on people and started that pandemic.
Hold on.
Again, I don't know why.
I want to hear a redneck talk about eating fried camel hump, please. And go.
If they got some bat, maybe they have some of that delicious fried camel hump that Jeffy likes so much.
Oh, that's a good thought there.
I don't know why Chinese even know about Jeffy. Maybe they listen to Chewing the Fat quite a bit.
Sure they do.
It's possible.
Does Delta fly to Wuhan?
I don't know that any American airline flies there right now. So
let's just take a look here. If I wanted to go Dallas to Wuhan, what are my airline choices? Travel restricted to this destination.
Okay.
So
there you go.
Yeah. But
probably makes sense that travel is restricted to that destination.
But hey, when things get back to normal, Delta and Japan Airlines and Korean Airlines, that's how you get there.
Really? They all fly to Wuhan?
Good grief.
Wow.
Delta flies all the time. Like, oh my gosh. Oof, okay, cool.
To Wuhan?
Uh-huh. Under normal circumstances.
Well, it's a city of 11 million.
Uh-huh.
So it's
and that's where
it's a major city.
And when you got to have, a live animal on your plate, that's the place to go.
Yes, whether it's snake or bat or fried camel hump, that's your place. That's your destination right there. Those wet markets, they know what to sell.
Right. I mean,
they really do.
That's high living when you can get an animal still living on your plate when it's dinner time.
Yes. All right. The mayor of Chicago warning residents about what's going to happen to them if they should disobey Her Highness. Here's what she was telling them recently.
Now, I've directed Superintendent Brown to order all police districts to give special attention to these parties. And this is how it's going to be.
Okay.
We will shut you down. We will cite you. And if we need to, we will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period.
I'm doing what?
There should be nothing unambiguous about that.
So if I have a party...
Don't make us treat you like a criminal. But if you act like a criminal and you violate the law and you refuse to do what is necessary to save lives in the city in the middle of a pandemic, we will take you to jail. Period.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, she also made it clear that they were watching you on social media.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're watching you.
So if you have a party, they will take you to jail.
I mean, don't make them treat you like a criminal by acting like a criminal and
you're not a criminal if you have
people.
A party. Yeah, if you have a party, like a few people over to the house, that's not a criminal activity. So
wow, okay, there, Mr. Scofflaw.
There again. Well, I don't care if they're watching me. I ain't doing nothing wrong. Well, you're not the one who decides that.
That's right.
The mayor of Chicago is.
If one of these gatherings has some fried camel hump, it's going to be tough, Mrs. Mayor, to keep people away.
Or some yummy bat soup
Bat soup.
that they
right?
just got from Wuhan, where people want to go and vacation.
Fox meat.
Yeah.
Yummy.
All right, we got Brad Meltzer coming up to talk about his latest book, The Lincoln Conspiracy. We'll do that next. Great to have you with us. 888-933-93. Joined by Brad Meltzer. Of course, he's the guy who brings us compelling TV shows and fictional books, children's books, and now a couple of really cool historic books. You had the first conspiracy about the failed plot to kill George Washington, and now you bring us the Lincoln conspiracy about the plot to kill Abraham Lincoln even before he became president. Joined now by Brad Meltzer. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brother Pat. How you doing?
Doing good. Tell us about this book. I mean, everybody knows about the plot, obviously, to kill Lincoln during his presidency. But what about this plot to kill him before he becomes the president?
That's exactly what it is. To be sworn in as America's 16th president, Abraham Lincoln has to travel by train from his home in Springfield, Illinois, and get to Washington, D.C. And the only way to get there is you got to go through Baltimore. But Maryland is actually a slave state at the time. So the plot is very simple. A secret society plans to murder Abraham Lincoln when he comes through Baltimore and end his presidency before it even begins. And that's the amazing part of it, is you get to see this kind of incredible moment where all of history can shift. Because obviously, if they kill Abraham Lincoln as he's on his way to his inauguration, the whole world changes.
And these are slavery supporters, then?
Yeah, they're pro-slavery. It's a secret society begins with the Knights of the Golden Circle. And some people may remember it went out from our Decoded TV show on the History Channel. We did an episode on Decoded. The thing about the Knights of the Golden Circle, they're led by a barber of all things. And it's a guy named Cipriano Ferrandini. And this barber in Baltimore, Maryland, works in the basement of a hotel, in a fancy hotel. You go into the basement, you whisper the right words, you whisper the right passwords, and you might just hear about the secret plot to kill Abraham Lincoln. And the great thing about what happens is, of course, who they then call in to save the day. Because, and one thing I should mention, and you'll appreciate this, Pat, is who eventually joins the Knights of the Golden Circle? And this will ruin a little thing at the end of the book, but not much. But eventually the Knights of the Golden Circle get a new member. His name? John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
And that's the craziest part. And then, listen, when they now you got to figure out, okay, you got a secret plot to kill Abraham Lincoln. What do you do? And there's a train speeding through the middle of the night. And there's lots of passengers on the train, in the passenger car, in a sleeper car. And there's 4 that we're focused on. One of them, there's 2 businessmen, there's a woman, and she's got an invalid brother. But none of them are who they say they are. So one of the guys is actually Alan Pinkerton, the head of the Pinkerton Detective Agency. The woman is Kate Warren, America's first female private detective. And her so-called invalid brother is certainly not her brother, and he's definitely not invalid. His name is Abraham Lincoln. They've given him a disguise. They've given him a code name. You won't believe what disguise they put him in. And that's how they're going to try and save his life, whisking him away in the middle of the night. And, I just ruined chapter 1 of the Lincoln.
Yeah, you did. I was wondering how we were going to delicately tiptoe around that, but let the author do that. Yeah, and you even mentioned there, you alluded to Alan Pinkerton. My kids and I are absolutely enjoying the book, Brad. It's so great. But we need a movie just about Alan Pinkerton and Kate. What's her last name?
Kate Warren. Yeah, we need a movie just about all the awesome mustaches that they have. Because they're so, they're incredible. And the Pinkertons, as you see in the book, are amazing. Alan Pinkerton is this. He goes eventually to Chicago, and he just thinks that the cops are so corrupt there. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to break the law to make the law. And he decides that he's going to be a private detective. In fact, the Pinkerton Detective Agency is where we get the word private eye from, because the Pinkerton Detective Agency's logo is a big eyeball. It says, "We never sleep. We're watching it all times," right? And that eyeball is where we get private eye from. So the Pinkertons are an obsession of mine. I love them through history, and they go into the Civil War. They fight in the Civil War as well. But when you see Kate Warren, America's first female private eye, she is such an amazing woman. She comes in 26 years old. She's like, I want a job to Alan Pinkerton at a time when no one is hiring a woman, no woman is working in law enforcement. And he's just like, you know what? He's smart enough to know that people are going to talk to her differently than they're going to talk to me. And that's an amazing moment because he's like, you know what? I'm going to hire you. And then he hires another woman after that. And these are the people who worked on the case in the Lincoln conspiracy to save Abraham Lincoln's life.
Well, so if Lincoln was disguised during this train ride to D.C., did they suspect that there was an attempt on his life, or was this just in case?
No. They know for sure. In fact, what you'll see in the book, I mean, there's a nonfiction book, 50 pages of footnotes in this thing, but we found not only did the Pinkertons have proof that what the Pinkertons do is they infiltrate the secret society, they infiltrate all their stuff, and they start figuring out what the actual plot is, when it's going to happen. You're going to see, you'll see a scene where the secret society in a dark room, candle lit, and they're all taking their oaths and their secret handshakes, and they pass out, everyone has to draw the short straw to see who's going to kill and pull the trigger on Abraham Lincoln. And the reason they do that is pretend it's me, you, and Keith, we're all in the room and we're all drawing straws. They don't want anyone to know who draws the short straw because in case one of us gets arrested, they don't want you to be able to rat out the rest of us. But the thing that's really amazing, and you'll see, and I won't ruin how many, is they don't tell everyone in the room, but there's not just one person who gets the short straw. They actually have a backup plan. And so not only do the Pinkertons find out about this plot to kill Lincoln, but there's actually a group of cops working for Senator Seward, who becomes, of course, Secretary of State Seward, and they're working for him, and they find the exact same plot to murder Lincoln at the exact same time. But to me, the best part of the book is when they finally have to go to Abraham Lincoln, and they go to his hotel room, and they tell him, sir, there's someone planning to murder you. And it's one of the great moments in the book, because Abraham Lincoln, they say, listen, here's what we're going to do. You have an event, Abraham Lincoln, you got an event tomorrow in Philadelphia. We need you to skip that event. We're going to save your life, get you out of here early, and get you through Baltimore so no one sees you. And Abraham Lincoln in that moment says, no way, I'm not missing the event in Philly. And they're like, why would you do that? And you want to know what Abraham Lincoln is doing the next day in Philadelphia? He doesn't want to miss. They are honoring the birthday of one of his favorite heroes, a man named George Washington. And Abraham Lincoln doesn't want to miss honoring George Washington. So he goes to Philadelphia the next day. In one of his famous speeches, he actually presides over the raising of a flag at Independence Hall. They honor George Washington. Abraham Lincoln, we found the actual speech that he gives that day. And in the speech, he says, basically, we need to stand together as a country. And if we don't, you might as well assassinate me. And it seems like a throwaway line back then, but in reality, now when you read it, you realize he absolutely knows that there is a plot to kill him at that moment. And then right after that event happens, I won't ruin the end of the book, but that's where the plan to save him kicks in. They whisk him out of there. I won't tell you how or where, but it will blow your mind when you see it.
That's amazing. I don't know if people understand how hated Abraham Lincoln was in the South, but they had a deep-seated hatred for him. And if I remember correctly, he didn't get a single vote from a Southern state. Isn't that correct?
He didn't get a single. That's exactly right, Pat. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, not only did he not get a single vote, he didn't get a single vote because they refused to put his name on the ballot.
Right.
Can you imagine today?
That's amazing.
They're like, you know what? I know you won your convention, but you are not. We won't even put your name on the ballot. And which is incredible.
Incredible.
The hate mail came in. He was so despised. They said that death threats came so quickly, and most of them, listen, you're always going to get death threats when you're president. Everyone gets them. But his were really specific, and there were credible death threats, and then it starts getting worse. And what you'll really see, and what I love about the book, is what we were able to find is we all know Abraham Lincoln at the end of his presidency, right? He frees the slaves. We know the cliches. You wake up any American at 3 a.m. and say, Abraham Lincoln, what do you know? And they'll go, free the slaves, log cabin, top hat. You know all the cliches.
Right.
But you see Abraham Lincoln at the beginning, 1.0, when he's starting out. He's making mistakes. He's insecure.
Yeah.
You see the last moments. One of my favorite things that we see in there is when he's notified that he actually wins the presidency. You know what he's doing? He's at the back of the building. He's playing handball, of all things. And he's just a human being. And, and then when he leaves to go and leave for Washington, D.C., one of the last things he does is he goes home. He wants to go home to see his father's grave, and he wants to also go home and say goodbye to his stepmother, who he loves and adores and helped raise them. And he goes to the stepmom's house, and she says, I'm worried they're going to assassinate him. She's worried she's never going to see him again. And she's absolutely right. In fact, Lincoln himself has a premonition that he's going to die during his first term in office. And you'll see the moment in the dream he has where he envisions his own death. And, you know, when you see that, Abraham Lincoln isn't some big statue in Washington, D.C., he's a human being again. And we have to remember that anyone you look up to, whether it's George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Rosa Parks, anyone else, they all have moments where they're scared and they're terrified, and they still go on. They're just like us. And I love that the Lincoln Conspiracy gives you that.
Yeah, and we forget, too, that there was no Secret Service at that time. You know, there were the Pinkertons, and really that's about it, right? He didn't have a huge detail of people who protected him.
Yeah, no, that's right. The Secret Service doesn't really start kicking in for protection until 1865, when John Wilkes Booth puts a bullet in his head. Mm-hmm. Then they realize
when it's a little late. A little late for that.
Not the time you want to be organized.
Right.
And so what happens is, you know, he has the Pinkertons. He also hires his own friends. He basically hires friends who are in the military. He's got a guy who's, I mean, it's almost out of central casting, like a big burly guy, again, super mustache, carries around a Bowie knife, and always loaded with guns, loaded for bear, who walks around with him. But it's just a buddy, you know. There's no training. It's more like, hey man, I'm important now. You come with me. Come on, Pat, let's go. And that's not going to do the trick when you're the most famous person on the planet. And I think, you know, one of the important parts here is to kind of see that full, as you're painting, the full historical context of this time Lincoln's living in.
All right, we're going to spend more time with author Brad Meltzer, who's the author of the first conspiracy about the plot to kill George Washington, and now his new book, The Lincoln Conspiracy. We'll have more with him in just a minute. First, let me take 60 seconds, tell you about Rough Greens. You know, the dry dog food has to last for 2 to 3 years on the store shelf. And so in order to make it last that long, the dry dog food manufacturers have to sterilize it when they make it, which kills everything that's good in the dog food, just burns it all out. The probiotics and the enzymes and the vitamins and healthy microbacteria, it's all gone. So that's why I'm so happy to have found Rough Greens VitaSmart. First of all, it's not dog food. It's a healthy supplement that puts back into your dog's food all the live nutrients necessary for your dog to be really healthy and active again. So no matter whether you feed your dog the most expensive food on the market or you make something by yourself at home for them to eat, Rough Greens VitaSmart will make your dog's food better. Plus, they love it. You sprinkle it on, you mix it in, and they just gobble it down. Take the Rough Greens 14-day Jumpstart Challenge today for just $14.95. See the difference in your dog in 14 days or less. If you want to see your dog thrive again, act like a puppy again, go to roughgreens.com/blaze. That's RUFFgreens.com/blaze.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Talking to author Brad Meltzer about his new book, The Lincoln Conspiracy. Something else you touch on here are the Lincoln-Douglas debates, which are a little different than the debates that we suffer through today. We would have really suffered back in 1859 and 60 over these things because they lasted a long time, didn't they?
Yeah, they last. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? Forget about hours, days. You know, You're literally arguing. And no microphone, no audio visual system, and with the depth and the intricacies of the details. Well, they'll be like, "Okay, Mr. Pat, on this fortnight, you will go on stage and speak for a mere 7 hours. Then, Mr. Brad, you will go on and respond for 19 hours." And I'm literally going up and responding for 2 hours, point by point, as if we're in team debate in high school. And what's amazing is people are there because there's no Twitter, there's no phones, there's barely
right.
That's the entertainment. That's what it is. And what's wild is to watch back then the way the world is, because the reason, it's very titillating to say we have the secret plot to kill Abraham Lincoln. Okay, that'll sell some books. But the reason we took on this topic was because when you look at the time period and you look at Lincoln losing and you look at, the failures that he had in the beginning, what struck us more than anything was where he was operating when he's elected. The country is divided in two. Whatever side you're on hates the other side and says the other side are complete and utter morons. Does that sound familiar to you, Pat? Right? I mean, it's just exactly where we are. And what the book becomes is, what do great leaders do in that time? And what in that moment Abraham Lincoln does, he doesn't divide us further. He unites us. In fact, on the days that they're trying to kill him, it is barely a week and a few days after they try to murder him, and he knows they're trying to kill him, he delivers his first inaugural address. And you know what? He has every reason to be like, you know what? I've had it. 6 states have already seceded from the Union by the time he's sworn in. 3 days after he wins, South Carolina announces that they're going to secede and passes a resolution. They give him 3 days, and they're already attacking him. And instead, he goes in his first inaugural address and says, we should be friends, not enemies. We should stand together. Let's look to the better angels of our nature. And I think right now, and I will say this, whether I go to my friends on Fox News or whether I go see friends in CNN, the one thing everyone whispers to me in the green rooms now is this idea, which is the way we talk to each other right now in politics is disgusting. The way we talk about the other side is disgusting. We're doing it wrong. And we need to remember, as Lincoln did, the United States of America, because we've forgotten it. We've forgotten humility. We've forgotten compassion. We've lost that, and we need it back. And to me, that's what we need to really focus on, is what our greatest leaders really had in spades.
And how do we get there, though? It's so difficult when you're mired in all of this nastiness, and we're all so used to it. And somebody hits us, and we hit them back. How do we get to a place where we don't really have an Abraham Lincoln type in office right now?
That's listen, I hate to say it, but that's the problem, right? You need leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. And I think you just said it, right? We get hit, we hit back. Like, everyone's hitting. Everyone's like, well, we fight. Like, no, we shouldn't. Like, if your kids were acting the way we're all acting, we'd say, yes, you have to protect yourself, and self-defense is important. I taught my kid to punch just as well as anyone else, right? To make sure that he's, when he was getting pushed around. But we can't live our lives with our fist in the air ready to punch someone. It's just, and that's what Lincoln stands for. Lincoln they're throwing punches at him more than anyone else has ever been thrown before or after. And he's like, we need to be friends, not enemies. That's what leadership is having that moral fortitude to say, I'm going to be better than what angers me. Because listen, you put me on Twitter, in 10 minutes, I want to murder somebody, right? I'm literally like, but we have to be better than what angers us. And for me, Abraham Lincoln doesn't get there immediately. He's not the perfect person who's born and we're never going to see the likes of him again. He doesn't even come in and want to free the slaves. We tell that story for kids, but it's not true. What he does is he says, to start, you know what? We won't take away slavery where it is, but we won't have any new states having slavery. So he's just like, I'm just going to kind of contain it. I'm going to keep it where it is. It's not until amazing men like Frederick Douglass and others get into his head and say, listen, do what's morally right, not what's just good for you and your pocketbook. Right. And it's incredible to watch him slowly evolve and change into the man we know as Abraham Lincoln. And the reason I tell that story is that to remind all of us, none of us are perfect, right? The only perfection out there is God. You want perfection, it's God. Everything else, we're all flawed. And to me, we have to go to the better angels of our nature.
We're speaking with Brad Meltzer, best-selling author and author of The Lincoln Conspiracy, his brand new book. You talked about the Knights of the Golden Circle, secret society. Was it looked upon back then as secret societies are looked upon today as some kind of conspiracy theory that nobody believed, or did people immediately believe that there was a conspiracy against him?
No, what secret societies, we've turned them into, like villains out of the Da Vinci Code. But what secret societies were back then in the 1800s, and even back into the founding of America when it was the Freemasons, they were clubs that were private. And what they evolved into, especially around the time of the Civil War, is they were called secret societies, but they were really kind of armed militias that would meet secretly. They would kind of do marches. They would do parades. They would go out and do drilling instruction for people and have their guns and show them how to put them up and clean them and move them around. And what happened was slowly as kind of the ones who really loved slavery started pushing this, secret society truly became to mean what we know it as today, which is a secret group plotting to overthrow the government. And what they were doing back then is this offshoot of the Knights of the Golden Circle suddenly started planning something far more nefarious. Because basically what they wanted, what the Knights of the Golden Circle stood for, was they wanted in Mexico, in the Caribbean, and in the southern part of the United States, they wanted to form a true golden circle where slavery could thrive. And actually, they drew a circle and said, in this circle of land, slavery is forever going to be, because we are the greater race, and anyone who's not white, we hate. Then they're never going to be equal to us. That's what the Knights of the Golden Circle stood for, and they saw Abraham Lincoln as public enemy number one, because the moment he was elected, they were like, he's going to end the number one thing we want, which is slavery.
Amazing. The book, again, is The Lincoln Conspiracy by Brad Meltzer. Brad, sounds you got another winner on your hands. Is it out right now?
It is out now. So Mother's Day, Father's Day, it came out today. So you can get it in every bookstore, Amazon, anywhere else right now.
Yeah, and Brad,
I'll say, and support your local bookstores. Right now, there are bookstores around the country that are doing mail order and trying to survive. So, obviously, we love you ordering the book, but there's a lot of places that need the help right now.
Yeah, and I can't recommend this book enough. It is such a great read. But is there any sneak preview to what's coming up in your world? Anything you're working on right now?
Yeah, well, one that I know Pat and you, Keith, have a vested interest in of time and place. So, we do these kids' books. In addition to this nonfiction history, I do kids' books nonfiction. So we just did I Am Leonardo da Vinci. We had done I Am Abraham Lincoln. We've done I Am George Washington, little kids' biographies. The next ones that come out are in October. We're doing an era I know you guys love, which is I Am Benjamin Franklin is the next one we're finally announcing. And we're also going to do I Am Anne Frank, because we felt like it was a very important book to do right now. So Benjamin Franklin is coming, and you get to see a little kid version of Benjamin Franklin with bifocals on it. And who can't love a little bald kid? Because, listen, he's got my haircut.
Mine too.
All right, we'll be looking forward to that as well. All right, Brad, thanks a lot. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir.
All right, the book again, The Lincoln Conspiracy, great stuff. I mean, who knew about the conspiracy to kill Lincoln before he even became president?
Yeah, there's
Amazing.
details in this book that you've just never heard before, and it's thrilling from the first page. And one of the things he didn't mention here is when they did the debates, one of the debates with Lincoln and Douglas, the platform collapses. And so, I mean, can you imagine? It's already impossible enough to hear.
Because they're up there for so long.
Yeah, so I tell you, different time, man. Different time trying to sit through those day-long events.
Yeah, well, they went home for lunch for a while, and then they'd come back and continue the debating process.
They would do parades leading to the platform. Like, hey, it's debate day here in Rockford, Illinois. It's so weird.
All right. 888-900-3393. Use that number tomorrow. We will see you then here on Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray, only on the Blaze Radio Network.